Hot take, but dating sucks right now. But it doesn't have to suck. And before you're like, no, Carla, I'm fucking lonely. It sucks. I got ghosted last week. I haven't been getting matches on the dating apps. All my friends are getting married, or I'm told I'm too picky. Okay, full stop right now. Welcome to Carla Turned On, where dating gets real, sex gets talked about, and the BS gets left on red. Let's get turned on. As somebody who used to be in very unhealthy, toxic relationships, I like to say I broke free from codependency for damn good in 2015. And you're like, damn, that's a while ago. Yes, but I have to tell you right now, I used to repeat the same shit and the same patterns over and over and over again. So yes, I struggled with dating. And you might also think, oh, okay, in 2015, she broke free from codependency and boom, her life was great. Bullshit. Call it bullshit right now because I'm going to fucking keep it real with you. All right? After that, I was in a relationship, didn't work out. And then I was in another relationship for years. Thought this was the person I was going to get married to. There were no red flags. There were, of course, things that came up in our relationship at the time that I addressed head on, and I felt very confident with it. So we got engaged, and then all of a sudden, red flags started pouring out of like fucking nowhere. You're talking about floodgates? The dam fucking broke. I am talking about flooded water. I saw red flags and I observed these red flags loud and clear. Infidelity was in there, some other sketchy shit going on that we don't have to get into right now on Turned On. But I'm going to tell you, I ended that engagement because I was like, you know what? I'm not going to end up with some guy who is treating me this way because I'm worthy and I'm enough. And I'm going to find that person because I know I am lovable. Okay, so you're probably sitting here like, all right, cool story, but I don't feel that way. What I'm trying to basically say right now is I understand when it sucks. I understand when it sucks when you're in the trenches of dating, trying to find somebody. I also understand when it sucks when you are in your 30s, ending an engagement, and you're like, shit, what is my life? What is in front of me? What the hell do I do? Where do I go from here? So where did I go from there? Long story short, TLDR. Here's the deal. I did me for a little while. I traveled the world, did some exciting things for myself, focused on my business, dating and relationship coach. And then all of a sudden I was like, you know what? I'm ready to meet my person. I know exactly what I want, exactly what I'm looking for. And I was like, I'm not going to just cave because everybody's always like, oh my gosh, you're in your 30s, you're running out of time. No, actually, that was bullshit. And I can talk more about that later. But long story short, I told you I'd give you the TLDR. We're going to get back on track here. Okay, I promise. I digress, but I promise. When I was ready to get back out in that dating world, I got on the dating apps. Yes, I did. I got on the dating apps. And at this point, I had clients had amazing success on dating apps, literally get married to their partners. So I was like, I know this shit works, right? I know this shit works. And as I was exploring this singularity side of me, was like, okay, I'm helping other clients get into these successful relationships. I know I can do this for myself when it comes time. So I literally took the shit that I told them to do, applied it to my life, got on the apps, and I dated. I dated intentionally. I had a whole freaking system for this. And if you are like, oh my gosh, I hate the dating apps, I have a dating app guide, Swipe, Match, Spark, the ultimate dating app guide. And those are in the show notes. All right, I digress. I finally met somebody that I was like, hell yes, green flags. This is what I want. This is what I'm looking for. And that is who I'm married to today. Why am I telling you all of this? I'm telling you all of this because dating can suck. That is not a denial. I'm not going to sit here and be like, yeah, like you feeling lonely on a Friday night while all your friends are just kind of like out about doing their own thing with their partners, or you're just like sitting doom scrolling, right? Okay, I understand dating can suck. And I'm not going to deny that from you. I'm not going to take that from you. I'm not going to try to sit here and convince you otherwise. But we also don't have to make it suck. And that's where we're going to be breaking down texting. I'm going to go on a whole turned off rant in just a moment here about waiting to text your date back. Hey, real quick, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want dating support, don't forget to look in the notes below where you can learn all about my guides and how to work with me. And if you want to follow me on my socials, you can find me anywhere at I am Carla Romo. Let's get turned on. You know how many times that people don't text their date back and then it literally ruins what could have been like a freaking amazing date? Okay, I'm going to hold that thought. And then I'm going to be going over the green flags of why you are a green flag. Because honestly, I think we need to get into the positive. And yes, I am all for red flags. I mean, I literally wrote that in my book, Contagious Love, Break Free from Codependency for Damn Good. Like, I have an entire section on red flags. So yes, those are important. But I also think it's equally important to discuss the green flags because, like, that is what bonds a healthy, amazing relationship. And then we're gonna taco about it. And yes, I suggest Googling what taco means. And we're talking about tacos. I mean, I do love a good El Pastor taco, not gonna lie here, but I am going to taco about it. And I'm gonna give you a little acronym here, which is talking about coming and orgasming. And you're like, oh my gosh, but let's be honest, nobody's talking about the sexual part when it comes to dating. And I think that that is super important. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, woo woo, sexuality, sensuality. Totally fine if that's your vibe. But I like to keep it real and I like to keep it simple. So, yeah, we're going to be talking about how dating sucks and doesn't have to suck in not just one way, if you know what I mean. Something that turns me off so much as a dating coach and would turn me off when I was dating is when the person waits to text you back for a long time. Okay, I don't care whether it's a content creator, some other professional out in the world was like, you need to wait a couple days to text. You gotta like play a little hard to get. That is bullshit. Even if you're like, oh, you gotta like wait a day or two. Bullshit. I also understand. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Okay. I'm gonna be honest. You also don't want to like somebody to text you. There's etiquette here, okay? Like, you don't want somebody to text you and then all of a sudden, like, you text them right back, like literally within seconds. Like, we all know we're on our phones. Like, we just are. And if you're not, like, fucking kudos to you. But like, I don't understand how you found turned on while not ever being on your phone. But kudos to you. Honestly, I will say this straight up. I had a client, okay? She was like, all right, I'm working on communication with dating and I feel like I just like don't know what to do. Most people don't. Actually, nobody knows what the fuck they're doing when it comes to dating. If they did, none of us would ever struggle with dating. None of us would ever have these crazy stories. None of us would feel lonely on the Friday nights, right? And so this client came to me and she's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I've been like listening to this advice. I've been told that you're not supposed to text a certain amount of times. After I go on a date, she's like, I don't text him because I was told that you have to have him text you back. Okay. We're going to like put these people next to each other. So I also have a client who's a dude and he was like, I planned the date. I set everything up. I, asked questions on the date because we all know when you don't ask questions on a date, that is a red flag. And so he's like, I don't know what happened. It was an amazing date. And then I didn't text because I just figured that she would text me if she was interested. And I guess she wasn't. So I just left it at that. Okay, here, we're going to put these two people next to each other. They literally could have like dated each other. They could have been in this situation where nobody's texting because somebody's told that this person's supposed to text and that person's told that that person's supposed to text. I don't care if you're a dude or a woman, like it doesn't matter. Text the damn person. So basically what I'm saying is that it is a turnoff when you do not text the person back after the date. You don't have to be like, hey, I want to go out again. Like, that's okay. If you're like, that's a little vulnerable for me. Like, I don't want to put myself out there just yet. That is okay. Although I like to be direct. I like to be straightforward. So I do suggest, would love to go out again if you're open to it. You're not directly asking like, hey, will you go out with me? Right. But you're kind of just like throwing it out there to see if they'll catch it. But honestly, after a text, it can feel so good to get as the receiving end, right? You're like, oh my gosh, confirmation. The person seemed interested. They said, thanks for the date. I'm also really big. If you did not have a good date, you do not need to text the person, thank you so much for tonight. Because then what's going to happen? The person's going to message you back and be like, oh, great. Like, I guess they had an amazing time. Let's go out again. You don't want that to start happening and feel confused on that either. So long story short, after you go on a date, whether it's first, second, third, don't give a shit. Okay? Primarily, I'm heavily focused right now on the first date. But when you go on that first date, afterwards, I want you to be able to text the person. It can be while you're taking the subway home. It can be while you're walking home. It can be while you're chilling in bed, doom scrolling, okay? Text the person. Just for the love of God, please fucking text the person. Thank you. Had a great time. That's it. It's as simple as that. We focus so heavily when it comes to red flags. And like I said, I fucking love a good red flag. Not being done to me, not doing it to someone else, but being able to have that on my little roster of checklist things of, yeah, look the fuck out, right? But I'm going to tell you right now, straight up, that we're going to be focusing on those green flags where you are the green flag. This is everything we're going to be breaking down. Texting, on a date, physical green flags, and tips to be able to hold that green flag energy. Little side note here that when I was on dating apps, what I would do is before I would go out with anybody and agree, right? Like I'd have that back and forth, a little banter here and there. And then I would be like, okay, are they going to ask me out? Are they not? Like, what's the vibe here? And then eventually they'd be like, oh, hey, like, want to grab coffee? Right before I'd be like, yes, that sounds great. I said, just curious, what are you looking for since everybody's on the apps for different reasons? Because I was looking for a long-term relationship that would lead to marriage. Those were my goals. You do not have to have the same goals. There is nothing wrong with just wanting a long-term relationship. There is nothing wrong with saying that you want to get married. There's nothing wrong with saying that you don't want to get married, but you want a long-term relationship and you want kids. Like, I don't care, okay? Everybody wants whatever they want. But I wanted to go out with dudes who were on the same level as me. I was dating intentionally. So I got a couple different responses, right? I got some responses that were like, I'm looking for friendship first. And then once we get to know each other, that's where we'll decide whether we be together or not. And I'm like, okay, obviously, like, but I don't need new friends. Like, I don't need more friends. And if I needed more friends, I'm not sitting on the dating app to make them. I'm going to go find them other ways. So I will tell you right now that somebody who says they want friends or whatever, I'd be like, nope, next. Okay. I also got ghosted, right? I mean, I get you can't really ghost on a dating app. And I bet somebody right here is sitting here going, oh no, you can get ghosted on the dating app. I define ghosting as you go on a date with them and then you just like never hear from them again. Or you date them for a while and just never hear from them again, right? On the dating app, it's a little bit more casual. I talk about that in Swipe Match Spark, the ultimate dating app guide. Like I said, show notes, it'll all be there. But I will tell you right now, okay, that I was looking for a dude who wasn't going to be all love bomby. I did have one guy once. I'm not kidding. I asked him what he was looking for and he told me, he's like, oh, well, I've like worked on myself. I'm at this point in life where like I want a serious relationship. And I was like, amazing, great. Me too. So we actually set up the date and then all of a sudden he started like sending me paragraphs. Like, I have always been looking for somebody special. And like my one friend, and he even like name dropped the friend Chelsea, always says I'm such a catch and I can't find anyone. I just was like, hey, you know what? I'm not interested anymore, but wish you the best of luck. And I'm going to tell you why I did that. I did that because to me, those weren't green flags. Green flag was, yeah, we want the same things. We're intentional. Great. Then it got to this point where it was like oversharing, love bombing. I was like, no, this is like way too much. Retreated, pulled away. Now, when I matched with my husband, I asked him, and what he replied back was, I love how intentional you are about this. His reply was, I'm looking to find my person. And he had that he was looking for a long-term relationship in his profile. So I was like, all right, cool. Let's go do this. We're on the same page. And then the green flag came along is when we talked about it on our second date. So back up. I'm going to say number one green flag right here is being able to talk about what you're looking for. That's huge. Really freaking big. It's vulnerable, right? But you're also creating dating intentions. Hello, fucking elephant in the room here. And I get if you're like, oh my God, this seems like so intense. I'm going to scare somebody off. I really challenge you right now to look within yourself of what feels fearful around the intimacy. That's a question for you because yes, you might have fear. It might feel uncomfortable or like a little bit out of your zone of, okay, like, right? But if you are so hesitant to do this, I want you to question what's going on within. A lot of times, people who feel this way have anxious attachment style. We can talk about anxious attachment style later, but that is just something to kind of look into, think about a little bit more, and we will definitely be talking about anxious attachment on Turned On. So you got to stay tuned for more. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's okay to feel nervous. It is okay to feel uncomfortable. But I also do not want you to hold back these green flags of talking about these things. Okay? Okay. That's just kind of setting up the date side, like talking about our intentions. And I always say this, if you didn't talk about it on the app or you didn't talk about it when you met somebody out in the wild, I want you to be able to talk about it on your first date. Yeah, I do. If the date is going well toward the very end, 2/3 in, whatever, bring it up. Like, oh, just curious. Like, what are you looking for, in terms of dating? Make it casual. It really only needs to be a sentence or two. It does not need to be a whole discussion. And please, oh my God, do not sit there and talk about all your exes. This is the focus about you, your future, your needs. Green flag, baby. All right, so that is what you're looking for. Number 2, green flag energy. We are talking about asking questions on your date. I get it. I understand that sometimes you get nervous and you're like, what the hell do I ask? Like, what do I ask? I don't know. Like, what do I say? Okay, I'm going to be straight up with you. I have a great little formula that I use with clients all the time, and I'm going to share it with you right now because I think you're going to like it. Basically, you don't want it to feel like an interview because that's boring as fuck. And nobody wants to feel like they're at work or on the stand, right? Like on a date, because where's the conversation? Like, where does it go from there, right? So, this is what I'm going to suggest you do. I want you to be able to share about yourself and ask a question. But this isn't just like, I like turtles. What about you? No, that's fucking awkward. It's weird. And if you understand the reference, we're on the same page, baby. All right. So, this is what you want to do. You want to come up with a couple things that are actually valuable to you, right? Like in terms of dating, what you're looking for. So, maybe you want somebody who has an active lifestyle. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're like walking a mile. Like, what the hell, Carla? What are you talking about, right? We're not tacoing it yet, okay? That's in a couple minutes where we're going to get down and dirty. All right, I digress. I know. So, we're going to pretend that you like an active lifestyle. What we're going to do with this information is share about the active lifestyle that we currently do or we enjoy, and then we're going to ask the question. So we're going to pretend we're on a date right now, and I'm asking you a question. I love hiking. I don't care to do any crazy type of hikes, but I really enjoy like nature, getting out there in the mountains. I love the foliage this fall. It's just literally the best. What things do you like to do to stay active? Boom, right there. You are giving them a couple different places to pull from. Number 1, you're giving examples that you like hiking. So if they like hiking, boom, you have something in common, which is a great little vibe check of the things you're looking for in common. Number 2, you're also giving them an opportunity to share if they do not like hiking or they are a runner. My husband's a runner. He has done over 25 ultra marathons. And let me tell you, I do not run. Like, I refuse to run. But I like being active, and he does too. So it works. We don't have to have everything in sync and in common. And that's the key here. So if somebody's like, I love running, great. Boom, you have something in common in terms of being active, right? And you also could have somebody pivot and just be like, oh, like, that's cool. I'm more into, I don't know, maybe they're a musician. They like playing the piano for fun. So basically, you're creating conversation, right? And you're giving somebody places to pull from, things to relate to, and you're speaking your needs and your truth into dating. So asking questions, not just any fucking question, but intentional questions is going to be the green flag game changer on these dates of yours. And I know I said I wouldn't talk about those red flags, but I am going to tell you straight up right now that it's a fucking red flag when they don't ask you questions. And my third point on you're the green flag comes down to physical boundaries. All right, I tell everybody straight up this. On a first date, like, it is not expected to kiss the person. I get if you are both feeling it and it is mutual. That is the key here. It is mutual. And both people are like, yeah, like, we want to kiss. We're going to do this right now. Fucking go for it. All power to you. But I'm going to be honest. A simple hug goodbye is totally appropriate and fine. So green flags, right? When we're talking about physical boundaries, I don't want anybody just assuming that like you got a kiss or this is the kiss, right? You are the green flag when you are looking and reading somebody's body language when you are saying goodbye at the end of a date. All right? So I want you just to think about this. You can also ask the person, can I get a kiss? That is hot. I don't give a shit when people are like, I don't like when people ask because it kills the vibe and the mood. BS. Straight up BS. There are sexy ways to do it. You can do it in a flirty way. You can do it in a playful way. These are green flags, you guys. And when in doubt, hug goodbye. Like, that is okay. And women, I don't want you to feel like you have to hold back. If you want to kiss somebody, you can ask too. I've actually had some people on my TikTok comment that they asked men by saying something like, aren't you going to kiss me now? Like, that was their fun, playful way. As a woman, like, you can also ask those questions too. That is okay. But you are the green flag when you don't just assume kissing on a first date. Like, you are looking at your physical boundaries here. Another big thing, I had a client, oh God, this story is awful. She was at dinner on a first date, okay? And she said she dressed cute. They were at a dinner date. Everything was going well, but they were seated next to each other. And I actually think sitting next to each other can be really cute, but it can also be really awkward on a first date if you don't know each other. However, their setup by sitting next to each other worked and it was fine. But I'm going to tell you a little side note. Don't just go sit next to the person at the booth on a first date because once again, physical boundaries. You want to think about somebody else's comfort level. Okay, back to the main point here. My client went on this date and all of a sudden, the dude literally took his hand and placed it on her upper thigh. That is creepy as fuck. And I'm sorry, but you were on a first date, right? And she felt really uncomfortable. She didn't know this person. They hadn't kissed. They hadn't even been sitting down for 30 minutes with each other. And then all of a sudden, she was being touched a little close to that taco. Yes, if you didn't Google taco, now you know what I'm talking about. But she was so turned off and creeped out. And you can probably guess she did not go on a second date. So the green flags are assuming and thinking and taking into account somebody else's personal boundaries in terms of physical. So whether it's you kiss or hug on the first date or second date or third date, always asking, right? Being transparent with what you're going to do and what you're thinking. That's hot. It does not need to be transactional. And if you're like, I don't know how to make it not transactional, then I want you to think about ways to be playful, ways to be flirty, okay? And here's a perfect example. You could be just chatting with the person. The conversation's kind of lagging a little bit toward the end. This could be a first date, second date kiss, doesn't matter. And you could just say something simple. This has been amazing, and I'm really loving getting to know you. Give a little pause. Do you mind if I kiss you? All right, that's totally fine. Totally fine. Green flags. Green fucking flags. So, the next time that you're on a date, or you're dating, or you're thinking about any of this shit, or you're giving your other single friends advice, let them know where they stand in terms of their green flags, because we need to appreciate and celebrate that shit right up. Happy dating. And what you've all been waiting for, we are going to talk about it. Okay, there's a little backstory, and since you are an OG listener, you are fucking amazing. Welcome to my community, and I'm going to give you a little story into my personal life right now. When I was coming up for names of turned on, I all of a sudden woke up one morning and I thought, taco. We're going to call it taco. It's a great name. I love it. It's great. It has this double meaning and you can still think about dating relationships with taco. It's going to be awesome. So I told my mother and one of my sisters, and their fucking faces. We come from a very sex positive family. Like, I'm not kidding. When I was a child, I would be walking in the grocery store and my mother would be like, girls, the condom aisle is right here. If you ever need protection while you're having sex, the condoms are here. I would be like, my 13-year-old self would be like scrambling. I was like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. But honestly, I was so grateful that my mother introduced contraceptives at such a young age and normalized it, even if I felt embarrassed about it. Because then from there, I was like, oh, there's no shame in it. This is okay to talk about. And it's okay to ask somebody that I'm going to sleep with whether, they've been tested or condoms or whatever, right? And I just have to say, most people did not grow up in that household. So I understand tacoing about it can feel really uncomfortable. And this is why we are going to be deep diving into tacoing about sex with the person that you are sleeping with or going to sleep with. I understand. Sometimes you sleep with the person and you didn't taco about it. And you're like, oh shit. Oh, I'm just going to sweep that under the rug and keep fucking. No, I want you to be able to taco about it after or before, ideally before. That is the goal. But if you're like, oh, too late, it's okay to talk about it after. All right. So here's the deal. It blows my mind that people actually feel so awkward talking about sex with the person that they're going to sleep with or the person that they've slept with. Because you're literally exchanging each other's junk with one another. And that act alone is very intimate. But I also feel like you could just in your head justify, well, like, we're just physically connecting and not having to verbally say anything. So it's fine. But these are the three things of why you need to have these conversations sleeping with the person that you're dating. Number one, pleasure, elephant in the room. And I'm going to be real with you right now. Women's pleasure gets swept under that rug. You see it in movies, you read books, and it's really about the man's pleasure. And there's so many dudes out there who care about women's pleasure. So I am not saying that it's because dudes don't care. We're also taught just from everything around us that it's about the man and not about the woman. So I want you to think about and get clear on this. And I talk about this in my guide, No Filter, the sex guide every dater needs, which is linked in the show notes. But I gotta tell you right now, okay? When you discuss what your needs are, you have already done a bit of an inventory in yourself. You need to know what turns you on. That is so important, right? Because if you don't even know what turns you on, how are you going to communicate that and enjoy it with someone else? Being able just to know what your pleasure points are, what feels good, right? And this goes for men too. I have male clients who get performance anxiety when it comes to sex. And then they feel like they're a failure because what do we see? It's all about the dominant man when it comes to sex. And they're sitting there like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. And I've also heard clients who are women talk about men that they're dating or seeing that they're sleeping with who are getting performance anxiety. So it's important to discuss these things because honestly, you make it more comfortable for everybody. Number two, we are talking about STIs. There is no shame in STIs. There is so much stigma though. Holy shit. People talk about STIs that you're a slut or you're a whore. Okay, first and foremost, you can literally sleep with one person and get an STI. All right? Straight fucking up. That is the truth. Also, there is this obsession with body count right now. How many people you slept with? Oh my God, they've got STIs. Actually, some people who have slept with lots of people have never had an STI because they protected themselves, they got tested regularly, and they would talk about it with the person that they were dating. So the number of who you've slept with or haven't slept with does not actually matter when it comes to STIs. Unless both people never slept with anybody and they're sleeping together for the first time. But you want to talk about getting tested. But having this conversation is more than just yourself or that person. Like you are taking care of your health. This is a health issue, right? And you also are looking out and respecting the other person. So talk about the STIs. And number three, we are talking about boundaries. So you can do sexual things without having intercourse sex, right? Like you can absolutely do those things. If you rather wait, because I have a client that I worked with and she was like, I am not having sex with him until we make it official. While on the other hand, I have another client and he's like, no, I'm okay having sex with her. Like that doesn't bother me. That's no problem. I just want to make sure she's comfortable about it. You're looking out for the other person. Once again, it kind of goes back to that green flag energy where you're physically thinking about somebody else's autonomy and space. Boundaries, baby, right? Like that is so freaking important. So you want to have the conversation of like, hey, I like to take things slow, or hey, I'm okay if we slept together. Like I'm good, I'm tested, like I feel good about it. These don't need to feel like you're in sex ed again. Like what the fuck? And also, side note, I'm just going to go on a little bit of a passionate rant. A lot of your sex ed didn't even cover half this shit, and it definitely didn't cover pleasure. And if yours did, fucking kudos to your school board because, yeah, Yeah, there's a lot of flaws right now in sex ed. A lot. But as I digress, it doesn't matter, right? At the end of the day, you've got to talk about it with the person you're dating. And this is why I freaking love discussing sex and dating because we so often think about it as some kind of taboo. We shouldn't be talking about it. We should only be talking about red flags, green flags, texting, first date tips, body language. I mean, whatever, right? The list could go on and on and on. But ultimately, what are we doing with somebody that we're dating? We're going to get sexually intimate at some point, right? So you might as well talk about it now. And I'm going to be honest with you as well. If you are not as experienced, you might feel really insecure. Even if you are experienced, you might feel insecure about sleeping with somebody new because it is a new person. It is a whole new sphere. So I just want to remind you that having sex is vulnerable as fuck. Doesn't matter how inexperienced, how experienced you are. And let me be freaking honest with you. You can always make it better. And we're going to be talking more about that on the next Turned On. Loved this episode? Rate it 5 stars, hit that subscribe button, baby, and leave a review. Do you want to work with me? Grab my dating courses, apply for my coaching at carlaromo.com or find it all in the show notes, and give me a little follow at I am Carla Romo on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Catch you next time and stay tuned. Carla Turned On is for educational and entertainment purposes only. This is not a substitute for therapy. For professional support, please reach out to a licensed mental health provider.